Hello and welcome to another episode of Pakistani Profiles. My guest for today is a man who is driven by his passion for nature. He is an expert in the development of food and protection of environment, and he has done an immense amount of work around these areas. I have with me Tofiq Pasha. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for
Right,
having me.
we will go back to your childhood. And considering your love for nature, was that in your childhood also, or you developed it with time?
No, it is because I am today what I am because of my childhood.
Right.
And all the credit goes to my parents, actually. And it's not a cliche, but it actually is. My parents were extremely fond of gardening.
Okay.
And our family setup was such that we were a very close-knit family and we did everything together. So from the time that I was, I love to say that instead of giving me toys to play, my parents used to give me plants to play with. So I grew up with plants from a very
So you always had that
childhood.
feeling for nature.
I always had a feel for nature, yes, for plants, and it just grew into it. I was also extremely lucky that my parents, when I was still in school, my parents decided to leave the city. We used to live in the city and my parents used to grow a lot. Okay?
Right.
So even whilst I was a kid, we used to grow like strawberries and flowers and different exotic plants.
Right.
And in my school days, my parents decided to leave the city and move to the suburbs onto a farm.
All right.
So probably from the age of about 13, I started living on a farm. And that was just,
Everything was fresh and natural for you.
and that
right?
clinched it for me. That's in those days it was, I used to get all these remarks from friends at school. You grow flowers, you work in a florist, you make flower arrangements, are you all right? Is everything okay with you? It paid off because 30 years down the line, it became the in thing, and I became famous because of my ability
Because of the work and the expertise that you hold, right?
Yeah.
So how did you develop that into your career? What education did you get that would cover these areas?
Education was, a lot of it on the gardening was at home.
Right.
And I did go to an agriculture university at Tanujam, but for a very short while. Unfortunately, in the mid-70s, Pakistan was going through a major
At that time,
turmoil.
right.
And the ethnic conflict was very strong in the interiors of all the provinces. And I had to quit my education and come back to Karachi. And I really wasn't interested in going to college and doing science and becoming an engineer
Right.
or a doctor or anything. So I gave up studying.
Right.
And I just worked. So I have actually, apart from working in the garden from being 5 and 6 years old, but from the age of about 17, I've actually been working. And I knew all about, lots about plants and gardening and all that. And we were into, like I said, into growing flowers and some exotic
That was
fruit.
more to your home, right? Is there any particular institute that does all these teaching? Unfortunately not, because I rarely see this being taken as a career, either because of lack of schooling or lack of education on this particular field.
No, there is nowhere that you can go and learn any of this. And I learned it all on the job. So from being, from growing flowers and having a flower shop and growing plants, I branched out into somewhere about 1980. I got involved in landscaping. I was lucky to have learned the art of transplanting full-grown trees about the same time. And one thing led to another, and then from landscaping, I kept doing landscaping for a very long time.
Right.
And because I lived on a farm and I knew all about farming, my dad had another piece of land where we used to do larger farming. not only people who were growing wanted to have a nice garden at home, but even farmers used to come to us, come to my dad and mom, and try and learn about farming. So my expertise developed in that, and I started consulting with people as in their farming, and I'd go out and set up people's farms. And
so
then
basically you and your parents had started an institute on their own.
Yeah.
At home.
At home.
Right. What are your hobbies or interests other than nature? What do you do other than this when you have the free time?
Oh, what is that? I listen to music. If anything, I listen to music. But even that has now become a part of my lifestyle, because I'm a Facebooker, and I share music. So I listen to music either in my car or when I'm on Facebook. I don't. My life is what I do and what I live, because it's like if you own a factory and then your room is inside the factory where you live.
You're always occupied.
You're always occupied.
Right.
It's always so. I entertain. I love having people over. So I guess that is what I do in my free time. But then I entertain people who come to my farm to be a part of the environment or the nature. So.
So your work is your entertainment.
My work is my life. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
What has been your inspiration throughout this process or throughout your life? What has kept you going?
What has kept me going is a tough one. Having to pay the bills. Simple as that. You needed to work to pay the bills. So, and even if I didn't need to pay the bills, if all my bills had been taken care of, I'd still continue doing what I am. I might not take as many jobs to earn the money, and I would do much more of the other work I do.
But there has to be this certain inspiration, something that inspires you.
It's nature.
So nature is your
Nature.
inspiration.
What else? I mean, you know, I've grown up with snakes and monitor lizards and ducks and geese and guinea fowls and owls and
very closely associated to
plants
what the
and
normal
yes.
person would not.
Yeah.
Like me as a Karachiite, I have not gone through that. I would love to live on a farm and experience all this.
Yeah, my wife always said that a lot of people envy us our lifestyle. Very few would be willing to trade places. It's a tough life.
It is.
Living on a farm, having to deal with all that it entails is not easy. It's a tough life. But yeah, what else? I don't know anything else. I mean, and no, well, that's not entirely true. I trained with my father as a loss assessor, and I did my apprenticeship, and I got my license. I worked for almost 22 years as a loss assessor. I did inspections and evaluations and custody transfers. Very technical, very different field. I gave that up all in favor of this because my temperament was more over here than in the business world. I'm a really, really poor businessman. I haven't made any money in life, but I have no complaints. I've lived a wonderful life. My work has extended from just growing plants and landscaping. So it's like I deal with on the water conservation and management side, on the awareness side. I do women's livelihood projects. I teach women how to earn money from within the environment. I do environmental awareness with kids. I do.
So you've associated your work with all the age group and everything.
Yeah.
It's not restricted to adults or the kids only.
I now do a lot of lectures at colleges and universities. I mentor students. I go out and motivate them. I counsel them. university students, a lot of them. And even if you actually look at my fan base, if you might call it that, or my following, it's a strange grouping. My biggest following is from the ages of say about 14 to 34, 35. That's my biggest base. In that, the 25-year-olds are the massive percentage. But my fans are from the age of 6 to 86.
And I will tell you exactly why, because this is again one very rare field that you've picked up as your career, and the amount of work that you have been doing is not being done by every other person in this country, right? So in itself, it's very unique. In the end, Tofiq, your message for the nation of Pakistan, especially the youth.
The future is yours. Go out and get it. And only you can get it for yourself. Decide what you want and go out and get it. It's not going to come home for you.
Right. Thank you so much, Tofiq.
My pleasure.
For more Pakistani profiles, you can visit our website, pakistaniprofiles.com.